Good day everyone! Welcome to the part 2 of Chapter 14 Accounting for Derivatives under our subject Intermediate Accounting 2. But first, gusto ko lang i-congratulate lahat ng nakikinig pa rin ngayon sa pinaka-last reporter of our last group. Once again, I am your second mastermind for this report, Jean Pilapil. Since Ms. Gayo already discussed to you forward and future contracts, now let's focus on understanding option contracts. So, based from the word itself, option, this grant the right, not an obligation, to buy or sell an underlying asset. So, dahil dito, mas may flexibility si holder. Bakit? Kasi nga, hindi siya obligado na ituloy yung contract, especially kung palugi naman na yung contract na hawak niya. But, the downside of this, unlike in forward and future contract, dito sa option, naglalabas na agad si holder ng option premium or initial option premium kapag ginagamit siya sa problem para ibigay kay writer bago niya ma-acquire yung option contract. So, think of this option premium as a down payment. So, dahil nga doon, nabigyan ka nga ng option but ang kapalit naman nun is kailangan mo muna maglabas ng pera. And because of the three characteristic na nasabi natin noong una, masasabi natin na mas lower yung risk dito sa option contracts kesa sa forward and future. Now, na may idea na kayo kung ano yung option contracts, alamin naman natin yung tatlong factors na nakaka-influence sa position ng isang option contracts. First factor, holder versus writer. Dito, dinidistinguish lang natin yung dalawang parties na involved sa option contract. So, dito, si holder, siya yung nagbibigay ng pera o yung initial option premium kay writer as bayad niya bago makuha yung option contract. And syempre, si writer, siya yung gumawa ng option contract na binenta niya kay holder. So, ganun lang siya kadali. And for the simplicity ng ating discussion, lahat ng accounting procedures na i-discuss natin later on ay nakafocus lang sa perspective ni holder. So, si writer, pahala na muna siya dyan. For the second factor, aalamin lang natin kung si holder entity ba ay isang potential buyer or potential seller. But first, alamin muna pala natin kung ano yung dalawang types ng option contract. First, we have call option, and second, we have put option. So, si holder entity ay bumibili ng call option kung ine-expect niya na tataas yung presyo nito in the near future. So, isa siyang potential buyer kasi nga kung tataas, syempre gusto niya mapasa kanya yon. And bumibili naman si holder entity ng put option kung ine-expect niya na bababa yung presyo nito in the near future. So, isa siyang potential seller kasi ayaw niyang mapasa kanya yon kung bababa rin naman, di ba? So, ganun yung concept na naisip ko para mas matandaan nyo. So, si call, pag tumaas, nasa advantage siya. Pag si put, bumaba, nasa advantage siya. For the third and last factor, aalamin lang natin kung ano ba yung strike price and spot price. Napakadali lang nito guys. Nakikita nyo dyan may arrow. Think of it as the term ng ating option contract. So starting pa lang dun sa left side na color green, ito yung strike price natin. Meaning, ito yung original price na nakaset na dun sa option contract. And syempre, as the time goes by, nagbabago yung value nito. And kung saan man matapat, yung orange na yun yung current value niya as of that date. So, ito yung tinatawag natin na spot price or current value or also known as fair value. So, again, strike price, ito yung original, and spot price, ito yung current value niya. Ganun lang siya kadali. So, ito yung tatlong factors na nakakapekto sa payoff or possession ng ating option contract. First is the holder or writer. Since hindi na importante yan kasi nakafocus lang tayo kay perspective ni holder entity, so kailangan nyo lang tandaan dito is yung second and third factor. Yung second, para malaman natin kung anong type ba ng option contract yung bilhin niya, kung call or put option ba. And third, kung ano yung relationship between strike and spot prices. Kung tataas ba yung spot in the future or bababa. Alamin naman natin kung ano ba talaga yung position ni holder entity sa isang option contract. Alamin muna natin kung ano ba yung contract na ginamit, kung call or put option ba siya, and kung ano yung relationship between the strike and spot prices, kung tumaas or bumaba base spot. So, dito sa left side, makikita nyo yung position ni call option or ni potential buyer, and yung position naman ni put option and potential seller sa right side. So, focus muna tayo dito sa kaliwa. So, 'di ba, sinabi ko kanina na si holder entity ay bumibili ng call option kung ina-expect niya na tataas yung spot prices. So, kung mangyayari yun, syempre nasa advantage position siya. Pero kung hindi naman nangyari yun, nasa disadvantage position siya. And dito naman, kay put option, 'di ba, ina-expect niya na bababa yung prices, and kung mangyari yon, nasa advantage position siya. Pero kung hindi naman mangyari yon, nasa disadvantage position siya. So, yung arrow dyan, yun din yung ginamit ko kanina as an illustration between strike and spot. So, makikita nyo dun sa taas, tumaas si spot and bumaba si spot dun sa baba. So, magkakatapat naman yung position, so para mas madali yung matandaan. Again, pag si call tumaas, nasa advantage, pero kung bumaba si call, nasa disadvantage. Si put, pag bumaba, nasa advantage, and kung tumaas naman si put, nasa disadvantage. Ganun lang siya kadali. And dito naman is another illustration kung medyo nalilito kayo dun sa ginamit kong arrow. So, I use greater than and less than. And for this third illustration, pinagsama ko na yung greater than and less than, pati yung arrow na illustration para mas magets nyo kung ano ba talaga yung pinagkaiba nila. Now, na alam nyo na kung ano yung position ni holder entity sa isang call or put option, eto naman yung other terminologies used para ma-identify din yung position ni holder entity. So, sineparate ko na lang sila by color. Si advantage green, disadvantage red, and yung neutral naman blue. So, syempre, advantage in the money. So, think of it na in, papasok yung pera sa'yo, magkakapera ka, kikita ka. And most likely, itutuloy mo yung contract kasi magkaka-profit ka. And second, disadvantage, so out of the money. So think of it na parang palabas yung pera sa'yo. So malulugi ka. And least likely na hindi mo na itutuloy yung contract kasi nga ito yung uniqueness ng option contract. Pwede mo siyang hindi ituloy, especially kung hindi na favor sa'yo yung situation. And yung pangatlo, dito naman is neutral lang since nag-equal si spot and strike prices. So, hindi natin ma-identify kung tumaas ba siya or bumaba para malaman kung nasa advantage or disadvantage position siya. And dito, at the money naman yung ginagamit. So, again, advantage in the money, disadvantage out of the money. Take note of this information. Moneyness of our option contract depends on two things. Ito yung sinabi nating pang second and third factor, which is first, kung ano ba yung option type, and second, kung ano ba yung relationship between the prices. And since option is a right and not an obligation, yung probability na itutuloy ba natin yung contract is very important. Kasi nga, ito yung uniqueness ng isang option contract, na kung palugi na siya, may choice si holder entity na mag-back out na lang. Ewan ko na lang kung anong tawag sa kanya na gusto niya pa rin sumagal kahit alam niya nang palugi na siya at talo na, 'di ba? Now, let's test your understanding kung meron ba kayo natutunan sa mga tinuro ko kanina. So, sa upper left corner, kinuha ko na lang yung mga important given na kailangan talaga natin to identify the position. So, this is a call option type and yung strike prices niya na 100 pesos per share. And we have two independent scenarios, which is yung fair value or also known as spot price natin is tumaas from 100 to 110, and yung sa pangalawang scenario naman is bumaba from 100 pesos to 92 pesos. So dito, naglagay lang ako ng basis sa baba natin and yung illustration ng arrow para mas madali nyo magets. And since kapag call option tumaas, advantage, and kapag bumaba naman si call option, disadvantage. So, for our illustration 6, dito ginamit naman si put option contract. And same pa rin naman yung mga prices nila. But mababago yung pag-identify natin ng position since mirror siya ng call option. So, dito, pag tumaas si put option, nasa disadvantage siya. Pero kung bumaba si put option, nasa advantage siya. So, these are the depending factors for net amount of payoff. Si net amount of payoff, applicable lang siya kapag nasa advantage position or currently in the money or yung other terminologies natin na ginagamit kapag nasa advantage position si option contract. And di naman ibig sabihin no na kapag nasa disadvantage si option contract or nasa currently out of the money is magkakaroon tayo ng negative amount of payoff. So, later on, mas malalaman natin kung ano ba yung dapat nating ilagay sa net amount of payoff kapag nasa currently out of the money yung option contract. And this is the formula para makuha natin yung net payoff. Gross payoff less initial option premium. Once again, yung initial option premium, ito yung parang sinasabi ko na down payment bago natin makuha si option contract. So, alamin muna natin kung ano ba si gross payoff. This is the potential profit for the option holder. So, bakit nasabi nating potential? Kasi nga, hindi pa natin ma-identify kung talagang kumita si holder entity kasi hindi pa natin nalalaman kung ano yung mga nilabas pang pera ni option holder, which is yung initial option premium. And syempre, yung net payoff, ito yung actual profit or loss niya kapag na-less na natin si initial option premium sa gross payoff natin. So this is the expanded formula in getting the net amount of payoff na applicable lang kapag currently in the money yung option contract. And makikita nyo dito na dalawang formula yung nilagay ko, isang pang call option dun sa taas at isang pang put option dun sa baba. Since magkaiba nga yung position ng spot and strike prices ng call and put option kasi nga mirror sila ng isa't isa, especially kapag nakatingin kayo sa isang same position nila. So, gross payoff, difference lang ng spot and strike prices depende kung call or put option ba siya, multiply by the number of units ng underlying, like kunyari 500 kilograms, 5,000 shares, and once na makuha mo na yun na yung gross payoff nila. Then, less initial option premium para makuha mo na yung net payoff. Ganun lang siya kadali. And eto naman yung dapat nating ilagay sa net amount of payoff kapag currently out of the money. So, hindi negative amount ang payoff yung ilalagay natin, kundi yung initial option premium na nilabas natin nung una pa lang. Kasi nga, kung ito yung sinasabi ko na pag currently out of the money, nasa disadvantage position na si holder, so least likely na itutuloy niya na yung contract, and ang pinaka-maximum amount of loss niya lang is equal dun sa initial option premium, which is yun yung nilabas niya nung una pa lang bago niya ma-acquire yung option contract. So, dito nakalagay lang kung paano nyo masasabing nasa currently out of the money, and madali naman na yun since na-discuss na natin siya from the previous slide. But ito yung other tips ko kapag ginamit mo yung formula dun sa previous slide and negative yung lumabas dito sa amount ng spot and strike prices, depende kung call or put option ba siya. Now, let's test your understanding in getting the net amount of payoff. So, mapapansin nyo dito sa kaliwa na mas marami na yung given na nilagay ko since nag-expand na nga tayo ng formula na gagamitin. So, dito, kung anong type ng option, ilang units yung underlying, syempre, yung strike price, and also yung initial option premium o IOP natin. And we have 3 independent scenarios kung saan nagbabago-bago dito yung spot prices nila, 90, 78, and 60. And for this slide, nilagay ko na yung relationship ng ating strike and spot prices para ma-identify na natin kung nasa in the money or out of the money ba yung position. And since yung pang third scenario natin is currently out of the money, so ang maximum loss natin doon is our IOP, which is the 15,000 pesos. And for our first and second scenario, dito natin makukuha yung net amount of payoff by getting the gross payoff, which is yung mga naka-color blue, and less our IOP, yung color K, to get the net payoff, which is 985,000 for scenario 1 and 385,000 for scenario 2. And for this illustration 8, ang ginamit naman na type ng option is put option contract. So, we have 3 different scenarios again. And dito, since put option na kapag bumaba ay currently in the money and kapag tumaas naman, currently out of the money. So, matik na sa third scenario, equal na siya sa ating IOP, which is 10,000 pesos. And for the first and second scenario, makuha nyo na yung net amount of payoff based sa formula na binigay ko noon. And for the net amount of payoff ng 1, 140,000 pesos, and 350,000 pesos naman for the net amount of payoff ng scenario 2. Now, let's identify the 2 general components ng ating fair value sa ating option contracts. So, these are the intrinsic value and time value. So, intrinsic value, applicable lang siya kapag in the money. And this is the difference between the spot and strike prices. And yung time value naman is ito yung value na kailangan bayaran ni holder na kapag mas tumaas pa yung fair value in the near future. So, syempre, base nga dun sa nasabi ko kanina, yung intrinsic value ay applicable lang sa in the money option contract. So, kapag in the money, both na intrinsic value and time value yung kukunin mo. And kapag out of the money naman, is yung time value na lang. So, this is the expanded formula in getting the general components ng ating fair value. So, sa in the money, syempre magkaiba yung pagkuha sa call and put option contracts natin. And dito naman sa intrinsic value, ito yung formula niya. Same lang siya dun sa pagkuha ng ating gross payoff. And syempre, sa out of the money, time value na lang yung fair value niya. Please take note of this information in getting the general components ng ating fair value. First one, you can always compute for the intrinsic value as long as meron kang strike and spot prices, pati yung number of units ng ating underlying, which palagi namang given sa problem. Usually kasi sa problem, either yung pinaka-fair value yung nawawala or yung time value. So, syempre, kung wala yung time value, once na makuha mo ng intrinsic value, ilalas mo lang siya sa fair value na given. And kung wala naman yung fair value, once na makuha mo na yung intrinsic value, i-add mo lang siya dun sa time value na given. Second, computing the intrinsic value is the same as the formula for gross payoff. Nagkakaiba lang dun sa pag-call and put option since magkaiba yung position ng spot and strike prices natin. And pang third, on the date of settlement kasi natin, yung ating time value ay magiging 0 na since maturity date na natin yon. So, yung fair value kapag nasa in the money is magiging equal na lang sa ating intrinsic value since yung time na dapat i-add natin kapag in the money is 0 na lang. And kapag out of the money, wala nang time value na given. Since 0 na siya, so mag-i-equal na lang sa atin yung fair value nito sa ating initial option premium. So, these are my tips in getting the fair value components ng ating option contract. First, alamin kung anong type ng option. Second, kung anong position ng contract. And once na ma-identify mo na kung in the money or out of the money ba siya, so pag in the money, alamin mo kung ano yung missing component, kung fair value ba or yung time value. And fourth, syempre, compute for the intrinsic value and apply the appropriate formula para makuha yung missing component. And kung out of the money naman, look for the time value only. And kung missing naman yung time value, compute for the intrinsic value and deduct it to our fair value para makuha mo yung time value natin. Now, let's test your understanding in getting the general components ng ating fair value. So, dito sa given natin, nakalagay na kung anong type ng option, kung ano ba yung given na component, kung ano yung number of units ng ating underlying asset, and yung strike and spot prices natin. So, nakalagay na rin dito yung ating mga questions na kailangan nating malaman. So, this is a call option contract and the position is in the money. And now, compute for the intrinsic value using the spot and strike prices and the number of units ng ating underlying. And once na makuha mo na yung intrinsic value, ang kailangan naman natin kunin is yung missing component. And since nandiyan na yung fair value na 1,500,000, all we need to compute is for the time value. So, 1,500,000 minus 1,400,000 na intrinsic value is equal to 100,000 pesos na time value. And that is how you get the components ng ating fair value sa option contracts. So, lahat ng changes sa ating options fair value is laging nire-recognize sa profit or loss. And since this is a right and not an obligation, hindi tayo kailanman nag-i-incur ng liability since may option nga si holder na mag-back out, especially kung nasa disadvantage position na siya. And nag-i-incur lang tayo ng option asset or asset natin if nasa advantage position tayo, syempre. And this is the hierarchy sa pagkuha ng fair value. Kung walang fair value dun sa given, ang kukunin lang natin is yung intrinsic value. So this is only applicable for the date of settlement kasi nga the time value on the date of settlement is presumed 0. So mag-i-equal na lang yung ating fair value sa intrinsic value at that time. Once again, eto nga siya, time value is equal to 0 on the date of settlement. And once na mag-increase na yung option asset natin, syempre unrealized gain. And once na mag-decrease in option asset, unrealized loss. So paano ba natin nagsabing nasa increase yung option asset natin? Kapag yung natin is advantage position, meaning kung call tumaas yung spot and kapag put bumaba yung spot. So, syempre, yung kabaliktaran nun na pag nag-decrease yung option asset, unrealized loss yung i-record natin. So, we have two classifications in terms of exercisability dates ng ating option. First is American option, kumbaga dito, from the beginning until the end, yung kanyang exercisability. And yung European naman is only at the end natin siya makikita. Doon lang tayo nakafocus. And dito naman sa discussion natin, lahat ng option contract na i-discuss natin is presumed na gumagamit ng European option. And dito, nasabi ko na din to sa previous slide na dahil nga on the date of settlement, time value is 0. So, kapag out of the money, imbes na 0 yung ilagay natin as a fair value ng ating option, is yung option loss na lang natin yung ilalagay, which is the initial option premium. So, for this illustration then, itatakal naman natin kung paano ba mag-journal entry sa isang option contract. So, we have 3 dates, which is October 1, yung starting date ng ating option contract. Kailangan nating i-record yung payment ng IOP natin since naglabas tayo ng pera. And December 31, yung change ng fair value. And February 1, 2024, which is the date of settlement, i-recognize pa rin natin yung change ng fair value dito as well as the net cash settlement from option writer kung nasa in the money. But wala tayong magiging net cash settlement kung nasa out of the money yung option contract. So, October 1, debit option asset, credit cash, 30,000 pesos. So, dahil equal lang siya sa IOP natin, syempre, yun lang yung nilabas natin pera. So, dito sa December 31, i-recognize lang natin yung change na fair value. Since put option contract siya, titingnan muna natin kung unrealized gain or loss. So, 500 yung strike, and yung spot prices niya on December 31 is 480. So, dahil put option, pag bumaba, nasa advantage, meaning, nagkaroon ka ng unrealized gain. So, credit unrealized gain, 270,000 pesos. Pero, paano ba natin nakuha yung 270,000? So, titingnan mo lang dito yung fair value niya on December 31 minus IOP natin, which is 30,000. So, 300 minus 30,000 equals 270,000 pesos. Okay? Once again, unrealized gain kasi bumaba yung spot prices kesa sa strike since put option contract siya. On February 1, 2024, which is the date of settlement, mas mababa pa rin yung spot kesa sa strike, so nasa advantage position pa rin yung put option contract. Magkakaroon ka pa rin ng unrealized gain for the change of fair value natin. So, debit option asset, credit unrealized gain. Paano ba natin nakuha yung 180,000 pesos? Titingnan mo lang yung dalawang fair value na magkasunod, which is the fair value nung February 1 and yung fair value nung December 31. No need na i-deduct mo pa yung IOP natin since na-deduct mo na siya doon sa previous entry natin nung December 31. So, dito, ang titingnan mo na lang na fair value is, na amount is yung 480,000 minus 300,000 is 180,000. So, dito sa net cash settlement, again, titingnan mo muna kung nasa in the money pa rin. So, dahil in the money pa rin siya, kasi nga nagkaroon ka ng unrealized gain, so, meron kang net cash settlement na 480,000 pesos, which is equal lang dun sa latest fair value on the date of settlement natin. So, these are the summary ng ating entries from October 1 until the date of settlement or February 1, 2024. So, dahil currently in the money pa rin yung put option contract natin at the date of settlement, magkakaroon pa rin tayo ng net gain which is equal to 450,000 pesos. And there are 3 ways to compute the net gain. First one is i-add lang natin lahat ng net increase or yung lahat ng unrealized gain. And nagkaroon tayo ng dalawang unrealized gain noong December 31, 2023 and noong February 1, 2024, which is equal to 270,000 plus 180,000 equals to 450,000. And second formula is i-less mo lang yung IOP natin sa latest fair value noong date of settlement. Ano ba yung latest fair value natin nun? 480,000 minus the IOP which is 30,000 pesos equals to 450,000 pesos. And third formula is yung net payoff natin ng put option contract. So ano ba yung formula doon? So put option contract, since malaki yung strike kesa sa spot, so 500 minus 460 equals 40 multiplied by 12,000, then minus mo equals 480,000, then less mo yung IOP natin which is 30,000. So 450,000. Again, there are 3 ways. Add mo lang yung lahat ng unrealized gain, or second formula, kunin mo yung latest fair value minus IOP, or third formula, yung net amount of payoff natin. So, for this slide, magpo-focus lang tayo kapag naging currently out of the money yung option contract on the date of settlement. So, dito binago yung spot price on the date of settlement from 460 pesos to 515 pesos. Eh, diba pag put option contract, pag tumaas yung spot, magiging disadvantage position siya or currently out of the money. So, dahil dito, ano bang gagawin natin kapag at disadvantage position siya? Magre-recognize ka ng unrealized loss. Debit unrealized loss, credit option asset. So, paano natin nakuha yung 30,000 pesos? Laging equal siya sa initial option premium natin na nilabas nung una pa lang. Or, second way to compute for this is getting the previous fair value nung before the date of settlement. So, ano ba yung previous fair value niya? So, this is on December 31, 2023, which is equal to 300,000 pesos minus mo yung unrealized gain na nakuha natin nun na 270,000 pesos. So, unrealized loss na 300,000 pesos minus unrealized gain na 270,000 pesos equals to 30,000 pesos na unrealized loss. Yun lang siya. And now, welcome to the last topic na ating option contract, which is the other forms of derivatives, since hindi lang naman nakafocus yung option contract sa call option or put option natin. So, first one is the credit default swap or CDS. Think of this as an insurance company. Ganun lang siya kadali. So, this provide guarantee against the credit risk or the chance that the counterparty will default on its obligation in the contract. So, yung entity na may credit risk, siya yung nag-lend ng pera dun sa isang borrower, which is the counterparty na may chance na hindi magbayad sa kanya. So, ang ginagawa niya, nag-a-apply siya ng credit default swap sa isang guaranteeing entity. So, tatlo yung party natin dito yung entity with potential risk, yung nilend niya ng pera which is the borrower, and yung guaranteeing entity. So, si entity with potential risk, magbabayad siya ng CDS premium sa guaranteeing entity, and in return, i-secure naman ni guaranteeing entity yung credit risk niya once na magkandaletse-letse na or hindi magbayad si borrower. So, dito, nagkaletse-letse na nga, tumakas na si borrower. So, ang gagawin na lang ni entity with potential risk, ibebenta niya yung loan receivable na hindi niya pa nare-receive kay borrower dun kay guaranteeing entity. And si guaranteeing entity, siya na yung magbabayad nung tinolang ni loan borrower. So, parang naging second borrower or guarantor ng borrower na nag-default. Ganun lang siya kadali. Parang insurance lang siya, insurance company. So, dito sa interest rate swap is meron kang fixed rate payer and the variable rate payer. Dito nag-change lang sila ng exposure or interest rate risk sa isa't isa. So, syempre, si fixed rate payer, ito yung rate na binabayad niya on the agreement or kung ano yung nakalagay do sa contract na meron sila. And yung kay variable rate payer naman is kung ano yung rate on the settlement date, either tumaas or bumaba. So, mas malalaman natin kung paano ba mangyayari to on the next slide. So, ano bang mangyayari kung mas malaki si settlement rate kaysa kay interest rate? Ang mangyayari lang dito is babayaran ni variable rate payer yung difference ng dalawang rate, which is 2% kay fixed rate payer, and si fixed rate payer naman ay babayaran niya pa rin yung 7% as is plus yung 2% na inambag ni variable rate payer. So, ganun lang siya kadali na mag-aambag lang si variable kay fixed para ang talagang nilabas pa rin ni fixed ay yung 7%. So, ano ba mangyayari kapag mas mababa yung settlement rate natin kaysa sa agreed rate? So, ang mangyayari lang dito is hindi bababa yung fixed rate payer na magiging 6% lang yung babayaran niya. Hindi. Kasi nga fixed siya. Despite na bumaba or tumaas siya, 7% pa rin yung lalabas niya. Katulad din sa previous slide. Tumaas man ng 9%, 7% pa rin yung nilabas niya since nag-ambag si variable ng 2%. And dito, kahit 6% yung naging settlement date, kailangan niya pa rin magbayad ng 7% rate. So, medyo lugi pa rin siya since ganun yung naging decision niya. But decision niya yun eh. Gusto niya maging fixed rate payer. Anong magagawa niya? So, dito sa ating third form is the cross-currency swap. Napakadali lang based on the word itself, currency swap. Meaning, dalawang currency dapat yung involved sa contract natin dito. So, si TCG company nagbayad ng 12% based on the 15 million pesos. Ang currency niya dito is the Philippine currency, which is the peso. And si JMP naman is magbabayad ng 10% based on 1 million US dollars. So, ang currency niya dito is the US currency, which is dollar. So, dito parang man-exchange lang between sa dalawang parties and depende na sa kanila kung anong rate yung isa-set nila between them. So, dito sa interest rate caps is para din siyang interest rate swaps. Ang pinagkaiba lang is yung pagiging fixed rate payer dun sa interest rate swaps. So, dito is nagsiset ng maximum limit or the cap rate and para protektahan yung mga borrowers na sobrang taas ng rate yung babayaran nila. Since as a borrower, ayaw mo naman na mahirapan kang magbayad kapag super taas na yung interest. So, nagsiset sila ng cap rate. So, si TCG is the borrower na nagsiset ng cap rate and si JMP naman yung variable interest rate payer natin. So, this is typically applied for the liabilities to protect the borrowers. So, dito na natin malalaman kung ano nga ba talaga yung pinagkaiba ng interest rate swaps sa interest rate caps. So, dalawa kasing scenario yung nangyari. Doon sa left side is tumaas sa cap rate yung nangyari and doon sa right side naman is hindi siya tumaas sa cap rate. So, meaning nasa range pa rin siya ng cap rate natin. So, focus muna tayo doon sa left side. So, sa left side, naging 10%, si JMP magbabayad ng difference na 2%, which is 10 minus 8, and si TCG is magbabayad ng 10% kay JMP. So, meaning, 8% pa rin talaga yung nilabas ni TCG since nag-ambag si JMP ng 2%. So, dito naman tayo titingin sa right side na 7%. So, dito natin malalaman yung pinagkaiba talaga nila. So, dito, since hindi naman lumagpas sa cap rate, ang variable rate natin, hindi magbabayad si JMP ng kahit anong difference since wala ngang tinaas, diba? Andun pa rin siya sa range ng cap rate. Pero, unlike on interest rate swaps na kahit bumaba yung variable is kailangan bayaran ng fixed rate pair yung agreed settlement nila, dito sa interest rate caps, ang babayaran na lang ni TCG is 7% na variable rate. Okay? Kasi hindi naman fixed rate payer si TCG. Ang talagang focus lang nila dito is kung tataas man yung variable rate sa cap rate natin. So, kung mas mababa sa cap rate, so no need na yung cap rate yung bayaran. As long as hindi siya tataas, no need na magbayad or mag-ambag si JMP. And kung mas mababa, yung variable rate na lang talaga yung babayaran ni TCG. So, for the last form, which is the interest rate floors, dito, nagsiset lang ng minimum limit or the floor rate para ma-avoid natin yung super pagbaba ng variable rate. This is typically applied for the investors Since as an investor, ayaw nating makatanggap ng super babang interest sa ating investment. Kasi nga, kaya ka nga nag-i-invest para kumita. So, nagsaset sila ng floor rate. So, dito, dalawang scenario ulit yung mangyayari. Ang floor rate nila is 5%. So, dun sa left side, naging 4% or lumagpas siya sa floor rate. And dun naman sa right side is naging 6%. And di naman siya lumagpas sa floor rate. So, let's focus muna on the left side. So, ang mangyayari dito, since bumaba nga sa floor rate, ang mangyayari is magbabayad si JMP ng difference na 1% kay TCG para mapunan yung kulang na 1% kasi nga 5% yung sinet ni investor. And doon naman sa right side, since hindi naman siya bumaba sa 5% and 6% siya, no need na labas si JMP ng kahit ano para ibayad kay TCG since nasa range pa rin siya ng floor rate natin. Yun lang. So, hindi pala last form yung interest rate floor. Sorry. Super, gusto ko na talaga tumatapos. So, akala ko last form na yon. So, ang ating last form pala is swaptions. So, based from the word itself, swaptions, this is just a combination of swap and option contract. So, ang pinaka concept lang nito is ang original contract niya talaga is option contract. And in the near future, may option si holder entity kung gusto niyang maging swap contract yung mangyayari sa kanyang option contract. So, ano lang siya, like, hindi lang nakafocus sa put option and call option yung option contract niya, pwede rin siyang maging swap option in the future. So, the type of swap depends kung ano ba yung underlying asset natin or financial instrument na nakaspecified dun sa option contract. Yun lang. And guys, that is all for our second part and last part na ating discussion for accounting for derivatives. Once again, I am Chin Pilapil, the second mastermind of this report. And thank you for listening. Sana marami kayo natutunan sa amin ni Tamara. And good luck sa ating lahat, especially sa upcoming comprehensive exam. Bida-bida na naman siya. Ang dami niya na namang segue. Sige na, bye na. Ayoko na. Tapos na to. Bye.